Today's session actually starts off with a question. I want to ask you all, how do we get such consistent looking pictures? My question is, these are called standard pictures, and what I have achieved over here is standardization. My question is, what all should be kept constant if we want consistent looking pictures? I'll be really looking forward to a couple of good answers out here. Good evening, Pratik Gupta. Thank you for joining us from Hyderabad. So this is the most important thing that we need to achieve in dental photography and documentation. That is, standardization is something that I'm really looking forward to when I'm documenting my cases. My question is, how do I achieve standardized pictures? So we have one answer already. Liji is saying that keeping the ratio constant. Yeah. What else has to be constant? If somebody can reply fast so that we can move on really quickly through our slides. Amazing answer, Meet Dodia. Meet is saying that same settings have to be used and grids have to be used. Nikita Israni is saying ISO, f-stop and ratio have to be kept constant. Sonal is saying depth and ISO has to be constant. Reshma is saying position and frame have to be constant. Vikas is saying distance from the camera to the object. Amazing answer, Vikas. Dr. Manish, same angle and adequate light. Perfect. Ameya, distance from the patient. Prasad Kango, same focal spot. Sushen Sharma is saying clicked and cropping standardization. Amazing. Ritika Goyal, distance from the patient. Amazing. Jigyasa Saklecha, position and fixed lens constant. Shashwat, hi Shashwat, exposure ratio and f value. Yes. Shivangi Trivedi is watching. Gurleen, keeping the settings same and recording them in the first pic. Yeah. So most of you have got it correct. So let us go ahead and see. Cherry, hi. Nice to see you. So yeah, I forgot to wish you all happy belated Easter to all my friends. And today is Assamese Bihu. So a very happy new year to all the people from the northeastern state. Amazing to see you all. Alright, let's get back to our presentation. So the most important thing to achieve standardization is we need to follow a couple of things to get standard. So what are the things that have to be the same? Excuse me. First thing is we have to follow a standardized protocol. Next, standardized equipment. Next, standardized settings, and next, standardized ratios. What am I talking about exactly? Let us have a look at that. Standardized protocol means we cannot randomly take pictures. We have to take pictures that have been advocated by a higher authority, and we are expected to follow those protocols. For example, if we are doing an aesthetic case, we have a 12 image protocol given to us by AACD, in which they want an extraoral smiling picture, both the arches, maxillary and mandibular full arches. And then we have close-up smiling shots, like you can see on top is the frontal smiling and at 45 degrees. Then we have both the arches which are discluded, and then we have anterior aesthetic 3 shots in high magnification or close-up shots. So if you are doing any aesthetic work, it is recommended that you follow all these 12 pictures. Frequently what we do is we randomly start taking pictures and we don't really know what we are taking, and this is the main reason why we are not able to achieve standardized pictures. We are starting random pictures, we are taking it anyhow we want it. This is one of the main reasons why our cases don't get published. So we need to have a set protocol. So what I usually suggest my delegates is you can take a picture of such a thing, like you can make a collage of all the pictures and stick it on any wall of the clinic or wherever your dental chair is, and then whenever a patient comes for aesthetic work, you can follow this protocol so that you don't have to open your laptop or mobile phone to see them. In fact, what we have done in Clinical Fixed Prosthodontics by Dr. Moez Khakiani is there's a chapter on photography in dentistry. What we have done is we are giving a printout of this entire protocol with the book, and you can just remove it from the book. It is a separate page and you can stick it on the any wall of your clinic. So it's really helpful so that we don't have to remember if we have taken this shot or not, and we will not skip on any shot in for that matter. So please follow standard protocols if you want to get your cases published or if you want to get accreditation, right? Before we go ahead, I would request you all to start a watch party. It is really simple to start a watch party. All you have to do is you'll be seeing a share button on the bottom side of your screen, of your mobile phone screen or your or your laptop screen or whatever you're watching this on. So you can see share right below on the bottom left. After hitting on share, you'll see this pop-up coming in. In that you have a watch party. So you can start a watch party right over here. You can also share it on any group that you like. For example, you must be following a lot of groups on Facebook. So if you want to put it on any group, you can put it on a group. But what I'm saying is, please start a watch party so even others can get benefited from today's session. Right? It's really simple to start a watch party. Second thing that has to be standard is standardized equipment. In the sense, if I'm starting off with Canon 1300D as my camera, 100 macro lens, non-image stabilization, and it depends upon whatever flash that you are choosing. Maybe you're starting the case with a ring flash or starting the case with a twin flash or even with an inbuilt flash. What I'm saying is keep the equipment standard throughout the patient work. The equipment should also not change if we are doing the same case, especially for orthodontist. It is really important that you keep the equipment same because you will be having patients which are going to be running really long, for example 2 years, 3 years, sometimes even 4 or 5 years. So during the course of time, if you have upgraded your equipment, for example this is a full frame DSLR and then suddenly you had this camera crop sensor and suddenly you upgraded to a full frame, it does not mean that just because you got a new camera you should start using it. It's not like that. You have to continue using the same camera that you had used for that particular case. So entire case has to be documented with those particular equipments itself. For example, if you started off a case with inbuilt flash and suddenly you invested on a ring flash, but you have to complete this case with a ring flash, otherwise the aesthetics of the entire case will look different. The way the picture is exposed, that will completely change and it will be not regarded as a professional pose for all of us to compare. So please follow standardization of equipment. So we finished 2 standardizations. One is protocol standardization and the second one is equipment standardization. And later on, hi Preeti Lamba, nice to see you. Hi Nimit. So guys, Preeti Lamba is the person who had made that linear polarizing film. So somebody had asked me how to do polarized photography, and polarize are extremely expensive. So what you have to do is just go ahead and buy linear polarizing film from Amazon.com, not .in. I don't know if it's there on .in. And once you cut it and make a DIY linear polarizing film like DIY Polarize, it really works to remove the reflections. I have seen Preeti Lamba do it and she has done a great job in it. So Preeti Lamba, if you can just guide everybody how to do it in one of your videos, it'll be really helpful. Basically, you have to cut it and put it in front of the lens as well as the flashes, but they have to be in 90 degrees orientation to each other. I'm sure Preeti will help you all to make your own DIY Polarize. So here we were, and now we go ahead and we see how to standardize our equipment. Let us come back to this case. So what I'm saying is, my main aim in dental photography is every picture should have the same color, should have the same exposure. Alright, so we need to standardize our equipment. Now my question to you all is, if I want to standardize my settings, my equipment is standard, my protocol is standard, that's understood. But how do I keep my settings standardized? What mode should I use my camera on? Anybody who would want to answer that? So we have a lot of modes on the camera. You can see it over here. Let me show you show this to you up close. So we have different modes on the camera. I'm asking what mode should I keep the camera on? So we have M mode, this is the manual mode. We have AV mode, that's the aperture priority mode. We have TV mode, that's the shutter priority mode. We have P mode, that's program mode. So these all modes are either fully manual or semi-automatic. And then we have green color A, which is a fully automatic mode. This is a very good mode for people who are into microscope photography. This is a fully automatic mode without flash. It really helps a lot. So this is automatic mode without flash, and this is fully automatic mode. Even the flash will go on if it's required, but over here you are telling the camera that let's keep the camera on automatic mode, but flash should not go on. Then we have creative auto, we have portrait mode, landscape mode, macro photography mode, sports mode, and SCN mode. And then we have video also over here. So if I do like this, then it goes on video. Right, so what my question is, do we keep it, what mode do we use for dental photography and documentation? Suppose if you have these modes, what mode would you want to keep it on? Okay, so looking forward to the answers. And why would you want to keep it on that mode? Yeah, most of you have said it correct. Thank you, Vidoshi. Yeah, Gaurav, you can keep it on C1, C2 custom modes also. Yes. Indu manual. Yes. Gaurav manual. Yes. What about others? Okay. So my basic logic is I want all the settings on my camera to be the same. All right. So if I keep it on automatic mode, what is going to happen is the settings are going to be changing on their own. Do we want that to happen? The answer is no. So if you want standardization of settings, you cannot keep your camera on automatic mode. All right. So can we keep it on semi-automatic modes? Can we keep it on AV mode? AV mode means aperture priority mode. TV modes means shutter priority mode, or P mode means program mode. Can we keep it on these modes? Can we use semi-automatic mode? So everything, see, the camera manufacturing company has also done this marking from this line to this line. We have manual and semi-automatic modes, and all these settings out here are fully automatic modes. So we are not going to consider fully automatic modes. Obviously, if we keep it on fully automatic, the settings won't be constant. Okay. So what we are saying is, my question is, do we keep it on semi-automatic mode or manual mode? Rameez is asking a very good question. Can we keep it on macro mode? The answer is no, because it's not a real macro mode. This tulip flower out here is a macro mode. For people who know, it's great, but for people who don't know, this is a macro photography mode. But you're not supposed to keep on this mode because it is not a very good mode and it's fully automatic. Besides, this is not actual macro. It's just going to focus on whatever is close to you. It's something really, I don't agree by that mode. All right. Yeah, so most of you are right. We cannot keep it on semi-automatic modes. So you cannot keep it on P, TV or AV. So these are called semi-automatic modes. We cannot keep it on P, TV or AV. If you have a Nikon camera, this will be called P, S and A. So you cannot keep it on P, S and A. You cannot keep it on these three modes. You can keep it on manual mode. Yeah, you have to keep it on manual mode, because even in semi-automatic modes, what is going to happen is there is a high chance that one of the settings is under the control of the camera, and we don't want the camera to have any control whatsoever. So the only mode that I usually recommend people to use is manual mode. However, people do use it on AV mode as well, so there is no problem with that. That might be their own choice, but I usually suggest my delegates to use manual mode only. All right. Right. So yeah, before we go ahead with today's session, I had what we are going to be doing today is we are going to be doing a lot of interactive work. In the sense, I would request you all, if you have a DSLR with you, just keep it with you, because we're going to be doing a lot of exercises together. So just keep the camera ready, keep it on manual mode, so all of us can do the stuff that we are planning to do together. All right. So I have two cameras. I'll be doing the exercise in both the cameras, and if you have one DSLR with you, please use it. People who don't have a DSLR, you can still do the forthcoming exercises on your own on your phone as well, but you might require another phone if you're using phone to see this live. Good evening, Nigam sir. It's amazing to have you in the session today. Hello Neha, hello Shraddha Das. Amazing to see you all. So let's go ahead and see how we are planning to standardize our settings. The foremost thing that happens when we put our settings on manual mode is, right now we are talking about the camera, so let's not discuss about the lens. Okay, we'll discuss about the lens later on. The biggest difficulty that a dentist is going to face is in manual mode, all the settings are going to be under our control. So that's a lot of settings to be taken care of, which is a big problem for us, because our main concern is the patient. So using manual mode can be tricky at times, but we are going to be streamlining our process today. So let us see how we can streamline our process today. To begin with, what we are going to do is we'll divide what are important settings and what are not so important settings for us. Okay, so the important settings for us are shutter speed, f number and ISO. We've already discussed f number in our previous sessions. So these three are the important settings, but we are going to be discussing these three settings in detail. These three settings are together going to control the exposure, means how light or dark my images are going to look. Okay, you can use your camera today for the exercise. Any camera is fine, any lens is fine, just do it with me so that we can understand it together. So this is the yellow line that divides the important settings from the not so important settings. These are the important settings, these are not so important settings, except this one. Our camera image quality has to be set on RAW plus L. So we are going to be seeing all this stuff today. We are actually going to use all the buttons today in sync, in the sense you are going to do it along with me, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. All right, so the first thing that we have to start off with is just put the camera on and put the camera on manual mode, so you can align it with the white color M over here. And next we start off and understand what our screen looks like. So this is the typical screen that any Canon camera would have. All right, so my screen looks something like this. It's almost the same. If you have Nikon, your screen might look something different, means in the sense you might have circles in them. So it's basically the same until and unless you understand them. So let us try and understand what our camera screen looks like. The M stands for manual mode of the camera, which we have already seen. Then 1/125 on my screen right now is the shutter speed. f5.6 is obviously the aperture. ISO is obviously the ISO. Okay, and this is a light meter. Number one setting over here, that is on A, that is called as picture style or picture control. AWB over here is automatic white balance. This is auto lighting optimization, or in Nikon it's called as active delighting. Number 4 is inbuilt flash settings. Number 5 is image quality. Number 6 is metering. Number 7 is drive mode, means if you are taking single shot or multiple shots. And number 8 is one shot, like if your lens is on autofocus, is it on one shot, AI servo or AI focus. We are going to be discussing what all is important for us as a dentist. All right, before that, what we are going to do is we are going to see a couple of buttons on our camera, which is maybe you must be a beginner with your DSLR, so it's important for us to see what all buttons are important for us. All right, so let us begin with buttons on the DSLR first. Right. Okay, so you all remember, right, that we have two kinds of DSLRs. Now you can keep your camera and stuff ready. So over here we have Nikon's crop sensor body. Over here we have Nikon's full frame body. Both the cameras are slightly different because their buttons are slightly different. And with me I have a Canon's crop sensor, and also I have a Canon's full frame. So we're going to be seeing all the buttons one by one. All right. Okay. One of the other reasons why people don't buy a DSLR, according to me, is it has a lot of buttons and a lot of settings. This is one of the reasons why people don't invest on a DSLR. Okay. So it is almost like you need to understand that we don't use most of the buttons of our DSLR. It is synonymous, or it's analogous to you have a TV in your clinic or even your house, right? So you are not going to use all the buttons that are there on the TV's remote. So similarly, we don't use most of the buttons on our DSLR camera. We use only a few buttons for dental photography and documentation, and in fact I use very few buttons even in general photography. So let us discuss what are the few buttons that are important for us in dental photography and documentation. We start off with Canon crop sensor camera, which is this one, and we'll see the important buttons only. We don't have to see all the buttons. So the first and foremost button is obviously on and off. You can do on and off from here. Then you have something called as main dial. Okay, so you scroll it like this and see this is the main dial of your camera. You have to use your index finger for this dial in Canon. This is your shutter release button, and these are the only important buttons in your camera. One more important button could be ISO. Okay, sometimes you have it on top, some cameras have it behind as well. Other buttons are not really that important. Q button is important and AV button behind. So behind we have Q and AV. These two are important buttons in a crop sensor camera in Canon. And on top we have main dial, which is important, and shutter release, which is important, and ISO, which is important. Let us see what is important for us in full frame Canon DSLR camera. Okay, in Canon DSLR full frame we have two main dials. So we have one main dial over here and one main dial over here, which can be locked also. So if I do like this, we lock it, and in the sense this won't work then. So we unlock it again. So we have one main dial over here. It changes something on the camera. We'll see what it changes later on, but this is also a main dial, and this is also a main dial. I would like to call it a main dial. And this is the shutter release button, main dial 1. There's an ISO button which is important, and main dial over here is also important. Another button is the Q button, just like the crop sensor camera. These are the only important buttons on a full frame Canon DSLR. Let us see what are the important buttons in a Nikon crop sensor as well as Nikon full frame DSLR. Alright, so in Nikon also full frame one that I'm talking about, you have a main dial here in front near the index finger and one more main dial in the back. Okay, so this is a full frame Nikon DSLR. There are two main dials, one in front, one in back. You have to manage one with the index finger and one with the thumb. Okay. However, in the crop sensor Nikon DSLR, you have only one main dial. So this is your main dial in a crop sensor DSLR. Okay, you change your F number by pressing these, by pressing this and rotating this simultaneously. We'll be seeing all of this in detail pretty soon. Let us come back to this slide again. So we have seen important buttons in our DSLR. So the important buttons are shutter release, then we have main dial. If you have an ISO button, that's great. If you don't have it, you can relax. Then we have a Q button, that's important in Canon, and in Nikon we have an I button that is also really very important for us. Okay, so if we start off on the manual mode like this, we are going to be having two possibilities of our image. Either the image can be good or the image could be bad. So my question to all of you all is, what could be bad in a bad image? What all are the things that could be bad in a bad image? Like what could be the mistakes in a particular image that could be bad? That's my question. I'm looking forward to answers. Meet, I'll be answering the plus minus button near the viewfinder hopefully later sometime. Right now I don't have time for discussing that. Anathan Narayan is saying dark exposure perfect. Harsha is saying blurring perfect. Prasad is saying darker image perfect. Blur image, yeah. Any other important mistakes that you can find? Any other important mistakes that could be bad in a particular image? Ragini, distortion and depth of field. Okay, Ragini, let's just consider that I'm taking pictures with a full with a macro 100mm macro lens, so distortion won't be there. Too bright, too dark. Most of them are saying that. Any other things that could be bad? Sameep is saying shadows. That's very good, but that's not in my control, provided I don't have the right flash. Exposure. Most of you are saying exposure. Any other thing that can be wrong? Distortion is not going to happen considering I'm going to be using a 100mm macro lens each month. Any other thing that could be wrong? Bandish. Everybody is just saying exposure and blurring. There's one more important mistake that can happen. So what could be the mistake that could happen over here? Okay, you might have seen in a lot of speakers that give their lectures. So sometimes what they do is they share pictures on their presentation. Like a pre-operative has a slightly yellow color cast, the operative picture slightly has a blue color cast, the post-operative is looking slightly reddish. So what I'm saying is there are three basic mistakes that can happen in any kind of an image. It does not matter if it's general photography or dental photography. Three mistakes are very common. One is exposure problems, second is blurring, and the third is color problems. So if you go ahead with my rules, I guarantee you that you will not be getting blurring as well as color problems. You have to, however, get rid of the exposure problems. So we are going to go and dig in deeper slightly and discuss why exposure problems are happening, because we are not concerned about the other two problems, because I'm going to be showing you a way out to manage them. Okay, so forget about blurring and color problems. We are going to be discussing exposure in detail because we are the people who are going to be managing it. The other two problems can be taken care of even later. Okay, so let us see what setting is going to be controlling what in our DSLR. Okay, so these are the important settings. Why? Because these three settings control my exposure. That is why these three settings are the most important settings. Okay, then we have picture style and white balance. And these two settings over here, they control the colors of our images. Other settings are not really that important except this one. You have to keep your image quality on RAW plus JPG. In the sense, whenever I take a picture in my DSLR, I'm going to be seeing one picture only. For example, image underscore 1691, all right, or image underscore 140496. You don't know. So what I'm saying is, when you keep it on RAW plus L, like you can see on my screen right now, if you keep your image quality on RAW plus L, you'll be seeing only one picture on your camera, but there'll be, when you transfer the files, you're going to be seeing two pictures. For example, image underscore 140496.cr2, and there'll be one more image on the laptop saying image underscore 140496.jpg. So that could be there are going to be two pictures if you keep it on RAW plus JPG. So it's important for us to have both the pictures, RAW as well as JPEG. Okay, so four settings really important for us as a dentist: shutter, f number, ISO, and image quality. Now let us dig in and see how to change these settings. First, we start off with a crop sensor Canon body. Okay, this is the camera that we're going to be using. So if you are using crop sensor Canon body like me, you can start doing what I'm doing right now. Okay, Ritika Goyal, you have to keep on NEF plus fine. I think that's the setting. You have to go to the menu and see if you are able to find out where is your NEF image quality. Okay, it might be called RAW, it might be called NEF. That's you can just check your own camera and find out what it is saying. So let us start off with try and understanding how to change ISO in a crop sensor camera by Canon. How to change ISO is written on the screen. Okay, so if you want to change ISO, just press the ISO button once and rotate the main dial. Okay, just press the ISO button once and rotate the main dial. Let us see what happens if we press ISO and rotate the main dial. So my camera is on. I'm going to be pressing ISO button once. I'm going to be pressing the ISO button once, and I'll rotate the main dial so I can change whatever ISO I want. Okay, so this is how we change ISO in a crop sensor Canon DSLR. ISO button once and rotate the main dial. So that is how we change ISO in a crop sensor Canon DSLR. If it is a full frame Canon DSLR like this one, so you can still do, you have an ISO button on top and you can keep whatever ISO that you want. This is also, so this is a full frame Canon DSLR. Alright, let me finish with Canon and then I'll show Nikon as well. How to change shutter speed in Canon crop sensor DSLR. You just rotate the main dial, your shutter is going to change. Okay, so just rotate the main dial, your shutter speed will change. You can see it changing. All I'm doing is rotating the main dial, I'm not doing anything else. So my fastest shutter speed is 1/4000 and my slowest shutter speed is 30 seconds, or you can say bulb. Bulb means ये कितना भी देर दबा के रखेंगे, you press and hold this, it'll be on for that time. Alright, so how I'm controlling the shutter speed is with the main dial, this one. Okay. How do we control the F number in Canon crop sensor DSLRs is, see what's written, press and hold the AV button and rotate the main dial simultaneously. So you have your AV button on the back hand side, so press and hold the AV button like this. I'm not leaving it and I'm going to rotate the main dial simultaneously. See, you can see my F number is changing or aperture value is changing. Okay, sorry. So this is how you change your F number. Alright, so why don't you guys also try doing it? And in a full frame Canon, I have two main dials. So one of them is my shutter speed, okay, and one of them is my F number. So I have changed, so basically by default this was on F number, but I have changed this. I can customize this main dial to something else. So I have kept this main dial for my shutter because I use it less often, and I have changed this to F number. But by default usually this is the shutter speed. Because I have a full frame and I have the liberty to change the function of this, I have made it into F number, which is very useful for a full frame DSLR user, because this main dial we use it quite frequently. So in a crop sensor, we've already seen in a full frame you have two main dials that control it. Hello Komal ma'am, it's a pleasure and honor to have you in the program, in the live session. So we've seen how to manage ISO, shutter as well as F number in our cameras. For changing ISO, just press the ISO button once and rotate the main dial, ISO will change. If you just rotate the shutter speed, that is, if you just rotate the main dial, your shutter speed will change. But if you press and hold the AV button, this one, and rotate the main dial simultaneously, your F number will change. So these are the settings on a Canon camera, full frame. I've already shown it to you live. Okay, sincere request to all the people who have not started a watch party. All you need to do is just go to share button. So you have a share button down right here. You can press the share button, another window will open and you can start a watch party out here. So if you have not started a watch party, please start it right now. Okay, so let us see how to change everything in Nikon cameras. If you have a full frame Nikon camera, usually the back one I think controls the shutter speed and the front one controls the F number. Okay, but I might be wrong, you just check it once. Okay, this main dial would probably change the shutter, and this main dial would probably, this main dial would probably change the F number, but this is in a full frame Nikon. Let us see how to change it in a crop sensor Nikon DSLR. In a crop sensor you don't have two main dials, you have only one main dial, which is over here, but you have a plus minus button over here. Next to that you have an aperture symbol. If you can see, I have a circle over here, means that is F number control. So what you have to do is you have to press and hold this and then rotate this simultaneously, then your F number will change. So this is what we do in a crop sensor Nikon camera. If you want to change the F number, press and hold the plus minus button and rotate the main dial, your F number will change. Okay, then let us see how to change ISO in the Nikon DSLR. This is slightly confusing, so people who have Nikon, please watch this a little carefully. Okay, so please watch this a little carefully if you have a Nikon DSLR. On the front of your camera on the left hand side, means suppose if this is a Nikon DSLR, it will be here. If this was a Nikon DSLR, it will be here. There will be a button over here. That is called as an FN button. Usually FN button, you can set it on any customized thing that you want to change. So you can, by default, it is on ISO control. So what you have to do is press and hold the FN button with your thumb. So suppose if this is your Nikon DSLR, press and hold it and rotate your main dial, then your ISO will change. Okay, so this is one way you can change the ISO in Nikon DSLRs. So I'm hopeful that you could manage to change your ISO shutter as well as f number. But Nikon people, the story does not stop here. Okay, Nikon people, you have to understand that Nikon is a little, I find it a little weird. Even though you are on manual mode of the camera, there is a problem that ISO has to be put on manual. Until unless you put it on manual, the ISO will not change. So even if you change the ISO, the camera is going to override your ISO setting. So you have to keep your ISO separately on manual. This is how we do that. Okay, if you want to come out of any settings, just do. So if you have entered any settings by mistake, see what happens is, if you enter into any setting by mistake like this. So suppose I went into a menu and then I went into some random settings and I want to come out of it. You can just do a half release of shutter speed like this and you will come out on the home screen. Just do a half shutter release, not full. Just do a half shutter release and you will come out of everything. So for example, I just entered into a random setting, but I don't know what to do. I just press this halfway through and I'll come to my home screen. This is one of the very useful uses of shutter release button. Okay, you can do it anytime. So there is a small video on how to put your Nikon DSLR. This is not for Canon people. This is a small video for Nikon people because their ISO has to be set on manual. So let us see how we have to put it on ISO manual. So Nikon people, just press the menu button and go to shooting menu. Nikon people only. Press the menu and go to the shooting menu and follow these instructions. So you will see ISO sensitivity settings over here. All you have to do is just go to ISO sensitivity settings and put it on manual like this. I'm doing it now. ISO sensitivity, see below you can see ISO sensitivity control. Above you can choose whatever ISO you want. So you can see that I'm choosing ISO, but I have to put the ISO sensitivity control off. Only then I can change to whatever I want. So please put your auto ISO sensitivity control off. Only then you will be able to keep it on whatever ISO that you want to keep it on. So this is a little weird about Nikon. After putting your camera on manual mode also, you cannot change the ISO sensitivity. You have to put the auto ISO sensitivity off. Only then it will change. Okay, but what is ISO? I'm hopeful that most of you got your things correct. I'll discuss all the other buttons and other buttons later on if you want them, but right now it's not the right time. Okay, so what I'm saying is let us focus our mind in understanding how to change the exposure, because there are three basic kind of problems in any image. One is exposure problems, color problems, and blurring problems. I'm telling you, if you follow my protocols, you will not be getting blurring as well as color problems. You will be getting a lot of exposure problems, but there is no formula for it. That's why we are going to be learning how to control exposure in a little bit of detail. Okay, so let us see ISO first. We've been talking about ISO since quite some time. So let us see what ISO is. Okay, let us try and understand ISO a little bit better. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we are out of the three main settings in our camera that we are going to be playing with right now. I'll be keeping two constant and I'll be playing with one only. For example, if I want to understand ISO, I'll be playing with ISO. However, I'll be keeping my shutter as well as f number constant, and I'll see what happens to my image. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we are going to take a lot of pictures in a series, okay? But so you have to do it along with me. People who don't have a DSLR, nothing to worry, you can do it on your phone as well. And people who don't have a phone also, you just watch what everybody is doing or what I am doing, so that you can see what is happening with what kind of a setting, okay? Just chill. So let us start with understanding ISO. If you want to understand what ISO does, what we are going to do is we are going to keep our shutter constant and f number constant. So what I'm going to do is keep your shutter speed at 1/200. Let us do that. So my shutter is at 1/200. I'll keep my f number at f5.6. So let me keep my f number at 5.6, okay, like this. And I'm going to be taking two pictures. I'm going to be taking one picture at ISO 100 and another picture at ISO 6400 and see what is going to happen to my image. But before I do that, I would want to explain to you what ISO does, okay? So ISO means, it was earlier called as ASA, also ASA. It controls the sensitivity of my camera sensor to visible light. We all remember that we had something called as speed films in our dentistry final year. So we had A speed film, B, C, D, and now we have E. So we have different sensitivities of films available. For example, if I use an A speed film and E speed film together, and I want to take an IOP of say 1:1 or 2:1, and I have two speed films, A as well as B. If I want both of them to look the same, I have to keep the exposures different. So if I keep A speed film, I have to keep an exposure of say 1.5 seconds. But if I want to take the same, it should look the same. If I want the same looking IOPA with an E speed film, I just have to keep an exposure of say 0.8 seconds. That is faster than the A speed film. So you can say E speed film is more sensitive to X-rays than an A speed film. Similarly, our camera is sensitive to visible light, okay, not X-rays. So we have ISO that controls the sensitivity of my camera sensor to visible light, okay? So if I increase my ISO, I'm basically increasing the sensitivity of my camera to visible light, okay? So let us say we start off with that. Prasad is asking me how to go get a raw image. I'll show it to you, Prasad. Just 1 second, hold on. In Canon, if you are a Canon user, just press the Q button and go to, just toggle to this place called as image quality. See, you can see image quality and you can select raw. So you can select raw and JPEG, whatever you want quality, okay? So this is how we do raw plus L. So we press the Q button and you can navigate wherever you want. You have to come on the bottom right side, press the set button and then select whatever image quality you want, okay? This JPEG image quality does not matter at all. You select whatever is you want, but raw has to be there, okay? So raw is really important. In raw also I have three options: raw, M, S and raw, but just raw is perfect. You can see what will be the difference in sizes also. You can see the sizes changing. You can see the sizes changing: 2736 by 1824, then you have 4104 by 2736, but maximum is 5472 by 3648. So I'll keep it on the maximum possible for myself, okay? If you have a crop sensor Canon, you do it the same way. So I'll press the Q button and I'll navigate wherever I want to go. So I'm going to go to image quality, which is over here. So image quality, and I have very few options. I have to select raw plus L, as simple as that. Nikon camera I don't have, but you can go to the menu and select image quality, or if you have an I button, that would also help you. In Nikon, I button does the same job. I button does the same job, in my opinion, as the Q button in Canon. Means it takes you inside the screen. Just try putting it on raw plus L. Hello Dr. Rajesh Dashputra. Hello Dr. Ninal. Nice to have you in our session today. So let me start off with taking the pictures for people who are watching us. I'm going to be keeping my shutter at 1/200 constant, f at 5.6 constant. I'm going to be taking two pictures, one at ISO 100, one at an ISO 6400, and I'll take a picture and show it to all of you. Alright, so shutter is 1/200. Okay, shutter 1/200, f5.6 is constant. Right now my ISO is 100, and I'll take a picture and I'll show it to you. You can keep your lens on autofocus if you want at this point of time, because focusing is not really that important at this point of time. I have taken one shot, and this is what the image looks like. It's fully black. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take another picture at say ISO say 1600. Okay, and I'll take one shot and show it to you. So this is my picture at ISO 1600. Okay, even that is pretty dark, but this is fully dark. This is slightly better. Now let me take a picture at ISO 6400 and show it to you all. So 6400. So this is my image at ISO 6400. It would quite depend upon where you're sitting. Right now I'm sitting in a dark room, so it's a little difficult for me to focus, and I'm taking a picture of this thing right now with me. Okay, so let us go ahead and see what my pictures are looking like. I've taken 3 pictures. I hope you all also must have taken 3 pictures by now, and I would probably want to show you how my pictures are looking. So let us go ahead and see. Yeah, so I'll show you my pictures. So this picture was at ISO 100, this picture was at ISO 1600, and this picture was at ISO 6400. Okay, so see what has happened. When I'm increasing the ISO, my brightness of the picture is increasing. I hope people who are doing it along with me might have got the same result. I'm not sure, but I would want to get your attention to this thing. As soon as I blow it up, you can see there are grains in my image. My image is not as clear as it was supposed to be. You can see there are small dots, red, blue, green color dots. It's very grainy. So the problem with increasing ISO is it gives you a lot of noise, image noise. So this problem typically happens if you are using a high ISO. I probably want to show this to you again, but this time I'll probably keep the ISO really very high. Let me keep an ISO of 25,600, and I'll probably take a picture for all of you and show it to you. Yeah, so I've taken a picture at ISO 25,600, which is possible in my full frame. So you can see the image is looking pretty bright now. So if I'm increasing the ISO, my brightness is increasing. This is ISO 100, 1600, 6400 and 25,600. all right. So but the problem with increasing ISO is you get a lot of grains, you get a lot of noise. Okay, so you have to be careful with this problem, that if you increase ISO you will get a lot of noise in your pictures. So let us go back and to our presentation and see what we have next. So this is what I'm talking about. If you do it on your clinical work, it will look something like this. Okay, ISO 100 image might be darker, 400 it might be brighter, 6400 it will be pretty bright. So increasing ISO increases the brightness but increases the image noise as well. So we don't usually recommend that. Okay, now we go ahead and try to understand shutter speed. Alright, so what we are going to be doing now is we've understood what ISO does. If I'm increasing the ISO, my brightness is increasing. So now we're going to go ahead and keep ISO constant. You keep an ISO of whatever you got a good picture at. I got a good picture at 6400 ISO, so I'll keep ISO 6400 for the time being. We are not trying to understand dental photography, we are trying to understand what is the meaning of shutter, ISO and aperture individually. Okay, so let us try and keep ISO constant at 6400, f at 5.6. I've already set it at shutter speed 1/200, f 5.6, and ISO we'll keep it at 6400. Alright, like this. So my ISO is 6400 f 5.6, which is what I'm asking you to keep it on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking two pictures, one at a shutter speed of 1/200, one at a shutter speed of 1/10. But before that, I want to tell you or show you what shutter speed actually means. Okay, shutter speed is the length of time my shutter remains open for the light to enter inside the camera. Okay, so just imagine that I'm wearing a coat. I don't have a coat right now, but it's gonna be a little funny for everyone. So let me say that this is my jacket. Okay, just imagine this is my jacket. I'm your DSLR right now, and this is my jacket. I know this is really stupid and funny, but it's easy to make you understand like this. Okay, suppose if my shutter speed was 1/10. See what happens at a shutter speed of 1/10. Okay, my shutter will open, the light will go inside till 1/10 of a second, and it will close. So this is a pretty slow shutter speed or a pretty long shutter speed. Say I did not like the image, so I kept it at a shutter speed of 1/200. See what happens at 1/200. This is what happens at 1/200. See what happened at 1/10. And what happened at 1/200? Like this. Which situation do you think more light has gone inside? 1/10 or 1/200? Yeah. Who wants to answer that? So a pretty straightforward answer. Which image will be brighter, 1/10 or 1/200? Yeah, Indu, you are right. Thank you, Indu, for sharing today. Muhammad Al-Shiri, it's 1/10, not 10. Okay, 10 is really very, very slow. Okay, people who have not shared, I sincerely request you all to share and host a watch party. You just have to go down on the bottom left hand side, you have a share option. Just hit on it once and just start a watch party. Don't worry who's going to see, who's not going to see. Don't worry if the people in your profile are dentists or not. Even they will learn something out of this situation. Don't worry. Okay, so let us go ahead and see in practicals what happens. So what I'm going to do is, my ISO is constant at 6400, f at 5.6 as suggested. I'm going to be taking two pictures of my subject right here. I'm going to be taking two pictures of my subject, one at an ISO, one at a shutter speed of 1/200, one at a shutter speed of 1/10. So right now 1/200. Okay, so I'm taking a picture at 1/200. This is what it looks like. Now I'm going to be changing my shutter speed to 1/10, and let us see what happens for that in that situation. Yeah, so this is what we got at 1/10. Let us have a look at both the pictures so you can compare them. Let me bring you on top. I'm sure you can see it now. So these are the last two shots. Just a second. Yeah, this is at ISO 6400. If you want to confirm it, just press info on your screen and you will be able to see all the details. So you can see that. Okay, let me get it close. Let me get it even closer. Yeah, I hope you can appreciate now. You can see that my ISO is 6400. You can see that my f is at 5.6 and my shutter is at 1/200. Okay, so this is the first shot that I had taken, and this is the second shot. You can see that my shutter speed is 1/10, f is 5.6, and ISO is 6400. So ISO and f number were constant in both the pictures. 6400 f 5.6, 6400 f 5.6. So ISO and f number both were constant, but shutter speed was changing. Shutter speed 1/10 is bright, shutter speed 1/200 is pretty dark. So this is all we had to learn in shutter speed. If you have a slower shutter speed or a longer shutter speed, the image is going to be brighter. And that is the conclusion of our exercise at this point of time. I'm hopeful that you must have done it on your own as well. If you do it on the patient, if you try this on the patient, it might look something like this. Shutter speed 1/10 is slower or longer, so you will get a brighter image. Shutter speed 1/200 is faster, so you'll get a darker image as compared to 1/10. So I am hopeful that you are doing the exercises with me. So we've understood two important things. One is ISO and one is shutter speed. Now we go on to the third most important setting, that is the f number. Okay, so let us go and see the third and the most important setting, that is f number. F number is also called as aperture value. Okay, this is what it looks like. So see what happens when the f number is small. I'll just get this closer and I'll show you the diagrammatical representation. I'm hopeful you will be able to see this. Just confirm it for me if you are able to see the values out here. Are you able to read, guys? Let me zoom it a bit for you slightly so you can see it better now. I'm sure you are able to see it now. Okay, this is slightly confusing, so we are going to spend a little more time out here so that we can understand it better. Okay, so first thing is, you can see the literal meaning of aperture. The literal meaning of aperture is a hole. Okay, aperture is nothing but a hole. Where is the hole? Inside the lens. Okay, so f4 you can see that the hole is bigger. f16 you can see the hole is smaller. My question to all of you is, in which situation more light is going to enter through the lens and hit the sensor, f4 or f16? In which situation more light will go inside my lens and enter? Tell me please. Waiting for the answer. In which situation more light will enter, f4 or f16? Yeah, Sabrinath, you are right. In f4 situation more light is going to enter. So my basic question was, in which situation more light is going to enter? All right, yeah, Gaurav, you are right. So let us see it again. So aperture is nothing but this hole over here. Okay, and we have seen this lens even before in the lens lecture. So you can see that this is a manual lens, so f number was controlled with this ring. If I rotate this ring, I can control the f number. So here you have f2.8, you have f4, f5.6, f8, 11 and 16. So this lens was given to me by Dr. Vipul Srivastav as a gift from Lucknow. Thank you so much, Dr. Vipul Srivastav. So you can see I've kept at f2.8 and the hole is pretty big. Let me change it to f8 and show it to you. You can see the hole has become very small. Let me change it to f16 and show it to you. You can see that the hole is even more smaller. So f2.8 really big, f5.6 or 8 it's small, and f16 it is really small. So my basic question was, in which situation more light will enter? So you are right, f4 more light will enter. So what we are going to do in this exercise is, you can also do it with me. Keep your ISO constant at ISO 6400. Keep your shutter speed at 1/200 constant. Keep these two constant, and we'll play at two different f numbers, f11 and f5.6. Let us do it together. Okay, so my first thing, I'm going to check my ISO. It is at 6400. That is correct. I'm going to check my shutter speed. That is going to be at 1/200. So I've put it at 1/200. That is what it is. And f5.6 is what I have. Okay, so let us see the difference in the two pictures, and I'm going to take the picture now. So this is at f5.6. okay, and I'm going to take one picture at f8 just for the heck of it. So I'm going to take one picture at f8. You can see the image has become really very dark. So at f8 itself I'm getting a very dark picture. f11 it will be an even darker picture. Let us see all the pictures. on the big screen right here. Yeah, I hope you all are also doing with me. So people who are using mobile phones, you will not be able to change your F number. That's the biggest regret that your mobile phone can give you. If you are using a phone, you cannot change this setting in your mobile phone camera. You cannot change the F number. I mean, you might be able to change a little bit, maybe F1.4 to F1.8 to F2 or maximum 4 or 5, but not more than that. Okay, so let us see what kind of images we have managed to get at different F numbers. Okay, so my authentication has failed somehow. You can see my camera is hung. This is a good thing to see. What has happened is my camera got hung. This is the LED indicator that my memory card is being read, so my camera is not responding whenever this light is on. Okay, it means your memory card is busy, it's being read, so it's not a great time to do anything with the camera. So even the cameras get hung sometimes. Alright, so the only thing that I can try is I can try and put it off. So even after putting my camera off, you won't believe, even after putting my camera off, so this is on, this is off, even after putting it off, this is still going on. So the only thing that I'm left with is the Indian technique. Like if somebody's scooter stops, we stop the scooter, bend it, and we start. So I'm going to remove the battery and put it again. You can see the red light has gone, and hopefully if I put it on, my camera should start. This is one thing that you can do. So yeah, these are the two shots that I got. Okay, so let us see if I can connect it with my Wi-Fi, camera Wi-Fi. Okay, I'm getting an authentication error, so I'll have to redo the settings, which I'm planning to do it later. But if you want to see, I can show it to you right now. So what I'm going to do is reconnect my camera. So my camera is sending out a Wi-Fi signal to my tab or my Android device. So you can see my network has come, but as soon as I click on my network, my camera is called Mayur. It is asking me for a password, so I need to give it a password. So I'm going to go to menu, I'm going to go to Wi-Fi function, and I'm going to exit it. So I'm going to do connect to smartphone, and I'm going to do review chain settings, chain set, easy connection, and it's given me a password. So it is every time you try to connect, it's going to give you a different password. So right now it is 0 3 0 541 541 07. It might be incorrect sometimes. Sometimes I have to connect it twice. I don't know why, but let us hope it connects. So it is trying to connect. Even now it got connected. So now what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go to my home screen, and I'm going to open the Camera Connect app. It's going to show my camera over here if it is trying to connect. It is not connecting to my camera somehow. It is not showing at all, and I don't know why. So some technical problems happen with technology. So I'll have to restart my tab as well. Yeah, I know, it got it. It got connected. Great. Okay, so these are the images that I got, but I have lost on. Okay, these were the two last images. So this was at f5.6. Let me put this off so that you can see. Okay, and this is at f11. No, this is also at f5.6, but my shutter was changing. So basically the F number exercise did not come over here. f5.6, f11 image has not come. This was the image at f5.6. I'll probably repeat the shot with f11 and show it to all of you all. Okay, so I'm gonna keep an f of 11 and show it to you. Let me just take a picture. Yeah, so I'm hoping that this image will come. Yeah, all right. Yeah, this is the image at f11, if you can appreciate. Yeah, this is f11 and f5.6. basically this is what we are trying to show. At a lesser f number, more light will enter and image will be brighter. Okay, let me zoom in and explain the same thing to you again. At a lesser f number, more light will enter and image will be brighter. So out of these two images, this was f5.6, this is f11. So at a lesser f number, more light has entered and image will be brighter. Alright, so hopefully you understood shutter, aperture as well as ISO. Together they form something called as exposure pyramid. If you do it on the patient or whenever you are in the clinic, this is what it would look like. f5.6 image would be bright, maybe this is f8 and this is f11. If you increase the f number, you are making it darker. Hi Akshay, nice to have you in my workshop. If you want to see all three of them together, this is what it would look like. Let me explain the chart to you. Okay. Yeah, fine. Let us look at the chart. You want to see all the pictures with a full frame. Let me try and show it to you. Okay. Prakhir Saini, this one is for you. Let me fill in the entire frame for you. Okay. Yeah. I hope you are happy now, Prakhir. Okay. So this is what is happening. This is at f11. The image is at f11. And this is at f5.6. I hope I have filled enough for you, Prakhir. Do you want me to go even more closer? I was just worried that we are going a little slow, because if I keep on doing this, people might get bored. Yeah, now I have filled the full frame almost. But you need to see the settings also. So that is one thing that you need to understand. This is at f5.6. and this is at f11. You can see that f11 is darker, and you can see the settings over here, f11 and f5.6. I hope I am clear now, Prakhir Saini. This one is for you. Yeah, now let's go ahead and try and understand all the three settings in one go. Okay, so yeah, let me zoom in a bit and make it easy for all of you all to see. So this is the summary of the entire thing that we have learned so far. At ISO 100, you can see the band over here. It's a darker band. So ISO 100, image could be darker. As we increase the ISO to say 200, 400, you can see the band over here is becoming more brighter. That means if I increase the ISO, the brightness of my image is increasing. However, you need to remember that it also increases the noise. Now shutter speed, you can see this is 1/1000th of a second, which is pretty fast. So in a very fast shutter speed, less light will enter, so image could be darker. So when you slow down the shutter speed, say 1/60, 1/30, the image is becoming brighter. F number, okay, so F number is like this. F number is nothing but a hole. At an f of 1.6, the hole is very big, more light will enter and image will be brighter. But if you increase the F number, say f4, f5.6, you can see the hole is becoming smaller and smaller and the image is becoming darker. So this is one chart that's going to be like lifesaver for both. You can take a printout of this also, and you can keep it in your clinic so that you don't struggle a lot. Okay, these are the side effects of these settings. Okay, if you increase the ISO, you get a lot of noise as well. So we usually never touch the ISO. Okay, so we don't want an image with noise. A live example in front of you is this one. So this image has a lot of grains in it. Okay, so I would not suggest that you play a lot with your ISO. Just keep it to whatever is minimum possible. All right, so keep your ISO at minimum. In my camera, minimum ISO is 100. So I'll keep it at 100 so that I have minimal amount of noise. So in my camera I'll keep ISO 100, which is the minimum. You see whatever is minimum in your camera and you keep that. Now shutter speed. Okay, in general photography, if you keep a slow shutter speed, you might get a blurring. Okay, if you make it faster, you will get crisper images. All right, and F number also controls the depth of field, something that Gaurav Bhagra has been constantly reminding us. F number also controls the depth of field, which we had already discussed in our previous sessions. Whenever the F number is small, means the hole is big, image will be bright, yes, but the depth of field also will be shallow. So Gaurav has been constantly reminding us that depth of field will be compromised if the F number is small. Okay, let us have a look at what he is trying to remind us. Do you remember this slide by any chance? It was covered on almost all the sessions of photography that we had conducted. I had shown this picture in almost all the sessions. Do you remember this slide, guys? See, at f5.6 we have blurring, in the sense the depth of field is quite shallow. Over here only the incisors are sharp. Canine onwards is blurred. Okay, over here everything is sharp. Okay, so in dental photography, what I'm saying is we have to play with a high F number. Hi Raj Rege, amazing to have you in my workshop. I've always wanted you to be a part of my workshop. Finally it's happening. So in dental photography, what we want is F number that should be high. And now this is going to be an eye opener for many of us. So it's a great time to start a watch party. Just go down, you see on the bottom left hand side you have a share button. Just press on it and start a watch party. So in dental photography, we want a deeper depth of field, means we want a high F number, something like this. We don't want to work at low F numbers like f5.6. We want to work at f29, which is a very high F number. Okay, so let us keep an F number which is very high. Let's just put the camera at a very high F number, say 32. This is the maximum that my camera can allow me. This is the maximum that this lens allows me. Okay, f32 is the maximum in this lens, maximum F number on this lens. So let us keep it at f32. ISO has to be minimum, obviously. We don't want a lot of noise coming in our pictures, right? And that is why we have set less ISO, that is the small ISO number. So in my camera, we've already seen that ISO which is minimum is 100. I'll show it to you again. See, I have only ISO 100 which is minimum. Okay, so now I'm going to be taking a picture for all of you all and showing it to you what happens in these settings. I've kept a shutter speed of 1/200. You can keep any shutter speed that you would like. Shutter speed should be faster than the inverse of focal length, in the sense, if my lens is 100 mm focal length, my shutter speed should be faster than that, means 1/125. Alexa, stop. Alright, so I'm just going to take a picture for you all to see. Okay, let's take a picture with this and show it to you. And this is my picture. Okay, so the picture is fully black. The image is fully black, and I can confirm that with the histogram over here. You can see in this square that I have a line on the complete left hand side, which tells me that my image is completely underexposed. See, there is no graph which is happening as compared to this one. So if I show you the histogram in this one, you can see a graph over here, means it is, so the center part is good exposure, the left hand side is under exposure, the right hand side is over exposure. This is how we read a histogram. So right hand side there is nothing, means nothing is overexposed. Almost in the center we have a little bit of stuff which is correctly exposed, and major part of it is dark, so that we get a graph on the left hand side. So we have an overexposure happening here, so we have got a graph on the right hand side. Every image it will be different, but if we have something completely on the left hand side like this, it means it's a complete underexposure, means the image is fully black. Okay, so see, at f32 and at ISO 100 I'm getting an image which is fully black. So in the ideal settings for dental photography and documentation, which is minimum ISO and as much f number as possible, I'm getting a full black image. That's almost like my screen is completely shut. It looks like that. See, does not show me anything. This means dental photography is equal to flash photography. I just proved you that dental photography cannot be done without flash. So we need to have a flash in our system inevitably. We want a flash. All right. So if you want to do good dental photography, you keep minimum ISO, maximum f number. Unfortunately, if you do this, you need a very powerful light source, and that is a good flash. That is why I recommend ring flash for posterior quadrants. Anterior aesthetics you can do with twin flash. If you want to get a bit of glamour factor, you can use studio lights as well. Hopefully you understood the concept why dental photography is equal to flash photography, which I just proved it to all of you. Alright, so if you manage to get all of this correct, you will end up getting good pictures consistently.